Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Game Junk Podcast, episode 221, recording on Monday, January 27th, 2025. My name is Frank.
My name is Sean.
And my name is Andrew.
And on this week's episode, we will be discussing the developer direct apostrophe 25 from Microsoft, their annual developer breakdown of upcoming games, and getting into the 5 games that were announced and talking a bit about what we played. No best of yet. Our top 10 games of 2024 episode will be releasing next week. So they'll be.
Is that a solemn vow, Frank?
Hey, we're committed. It's coming next week. For better or worse. I've been trying to play games like a maniac and mostly been failing and resorting to Rivals, COD, and Helldivers. So, I mean, thankfully, all 3 of those games will be represented on my list. It's filling in the other 7 spots.
Spoiler.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, if you put 200 hours into a game, it's better be on the list. That's all.
Fair enough.
Now, before we get into the developer direct, Sean wants to regale us with a story. It better be good.
Well, yeah, I mean, I thought we were going to save this for, the what we played section, because this is kind of what I played this week.
This story is so hot.
Well,
got to go at the top of the show.
I mean, Huck came in saying he's debating getting a Steam Deck or a Rogue Ally, perhaps.
Pause. For the record, Sean was hyping this story up before Huck got on the call and was giving us his hypothetical scenario. Sean was already coming in hot with this story.
Well, I'm not very happy. I'll say that right now. But
you don't want to be around Sean when he's pissed.
So my Steam Deck, which I love and have loved since I got it, I would dare to say it might be my preferred platform to play anything on if I can.
Nothing quite like playing a game on the smallest screen possible in your hands with something around as powerful as a Switch 2. It is the optimal way to play video games. So before you continue your story, I just want to acknowledge that. Sorry, Sean, please continue.
Yep, no, that's accurate. But so I have been having some issues this week that kind of started out of nowhere. I thought, so I had bought a new SD card for it to expand the storage space and seemed to be working okay. But then like a couple days later, started getting like these random freezes. And I was like, okay, let's see, maybe that's the new card. It's a bad card or something. So I took the card out, put the old one in, still happening. And I'm not going to go through the full list of all the debugging stuff I've been going through, but basically my Steam Deck does not, like, it freezes constantly now. Like, I can barely use it for anything. And the weird thing is it does work in desktop mode for the most part, but in game mode, it will freeze within 20 or 30 seconds of starting up. And it's weird because I can also get into a game sometimes and I'll be playing the game fine for an extended period of time. But as soon as I go back to the UI, that's where it freezes. So, of course, I know Frank's going to say, oh, you've modded this thing and installed all this crap that broke it. Well, I didn't discount that possibility, although I haven't done that much stuff to it. I've installed Cryo Utilities, which is an optimizer thing, and I've installed Decky Loader, which is a thing that adds plugins. They're both very common.
Decky Loader.
A lot of people use both of these things, but I did remove them. Didn't fix the issue. So went to Steam support, went through a bunch of things with them. They gave me tons of different things to try, plug it in when you're starting it up, reset the BIOS, bunch of different things, basically everything short of completely reformatting. And eventually we got to, okay, I guess you got to reformat. So I was like, okay. So reformatted the whole thing and don't even have any, I took the SD card out. I have no games on it right now. just Steam OS, and the freezing is still happening. I've tried like going to beta versions of new Steam OS versions. They didn't fix the issue. Tons of threads on Reddit with people having variations of this issue, but there's no rhyme or reason to it. Anyway, came down to, they basically said, well, you know, you're out of warranty, so your option is to basically go with a third-party repair service. We're estimating it'll be about $180 to fix, maybe more though. And I'm like, I don't want to pay that. Like, I might as well just buy a new one at this point. So I don't know. Like, I thought maybe it was leaning towards maybe the primary drive was failing. So I was like, oh, maybe I'll try and replace that. But I don't think that's what it is, because in desktop mode, it can run indefinitely without issue. So I really think it is an issue in the OS, that a recent update, something broke. But like, I don't know why only some Steam Decks are having that issue. I know obviously the OLED is the newer one that's out there now. I don't know, man. Pretty frustrating.
I like
Can
your
you roll back to an older OS?
So the only thing you can do from what I've seen is there's a recovery USB you can create from an slightly older OS. But as soon as you install that, it automatically downloads the newest update, like as soon as it reboots, and you can't turn that off. You can turn off game updates, but you can't turn off OS updates.
You can't turn off the Wi-Fi and see if you just run with it?
I mean, it did seem to me like when I did that reinstall from the recovery disk and I just didn't reboot for a long time, it was running pretty smoothly for a while. But I'm not 100% sure on that. So I really do think it's like a newer update, but I don't know.
Well, I mean, I definitely made a mistake with putting this story at the top of the show. I will say, you kind of remind me of my grandma. I'm just going to put it that way. Like where you started off with that story and saying, oh, I thought maybe it's the new SD card. I'm like, the SD card? It's like when my grandma thought she had an itchy eye because she turned off I turned off the sound or notification when her dryer was done running. And she's like, my eye has only started itching when you turn that sound off on the dryer. I'm like, Grandma, I don't think it's a problem here. And then the root issue is Sean's jailbreaking and constant hacking of devices and technology that he buys, trying to improve it, make it better than what's provided. And this is where you end up. Let this be a lesson. You should only use technology in its intended manner, whether it be a Mac computer, an Ouya, a Rogue Ally, or a Steam Deck. Just use it as it's intended. You would have been fine. I want you to follow up on these forums, the other people that have freezing, and ask them, did you do funny stuff with your console, or did you?
I mean, everyone has done funny stuff. That's what the Steam Deck is for. But if you reformat it completely, you should be good to go. So it's either the OS or it's a hardware issue, and I don't know which one it is. So
a targeted update from Steam, trying to identify those that don't like playing by the rules.
Well, the thing is, they've been rolling a lot of the stuff that, like that cryo utilities thing, they've been starting to roll a lot of stuff that it does into their own OS. So it's like they're basically approving of all this stuff anyway. But I don't know. Hey, let me know. Anybody out there having issues like this, please. I need
Frank, we all know what the real problem is. Sean bought this piece of shit instead of the PlayStation Portal. Obviously, he should be playing Portal games.
Well, that's
remote
that's
PS5.
What I've been playing the last couple of days, because
there you go. That's the answer. Stay with Sony.
Consoles?
Blue haze all the way.
Huh?
Never venture away.
You've got a beautiful OLED TV in your house. Like, why are you playing on fucking screens that are the size of a phone? What is going on?
It's just my preferred way of playing, Frank. What can I tell you?
It doesn't make any sense.
I was playing Plucky Squire. It's not like it was a huge deal, but Yeah,
Well,
I just like to be able to sit anywhere I want, play a game.
okay, well now I got to go there. Where were you sitting?
In
I was so
my
comfortable.
living room.
And what was standing in what was standing? What was in front of you while you were playing in the same seat you were using your portable console? I'm
The
sure you
TV.
were looking at a TV. Yeah.
Yep.
So,
Not a TV with a PS5 hooked up to it, though.
well, you got to be like me. You got to have a PS5 in every room of your house.
Well, I'll think about it. That might be the next step.
You got to commit to the PlayStation ecosystem. I just got my Chroma Teal controller, and I've got Chroma Teal plates arriving tomorrow for my my upstairs living room PS5, which I don't use. It's going to add to the whole ambiance of the room, match my my accessories palette, and it's just the only way to live. You know, the only downside I have to say is they do not have plates yet for the PlayStation 5 Pro. You cannot get replacement plates. I wanted to turn
Disaster.
it off. I ordered plates and they didn't work. I'm like, what's going on? And I had to return. Anyway, what a snooze fest to start this show off with. Let's get into that. Sean.
So, Huck, does that change you? Does that push you in any direction of what you want to buy?
I must say no, because I won't be hacking my Steam Deck. But
Well,
you never
might
know.
happen
Maybe
if you
I
don't
would.
hack it.
But I don't know. I'll have to do some more research and see if I go with the ROG Ally or the Rogue Ally or whatever it's called, or if I go with the Steam Deck.
Why
Not
don't you
sure
save
yet.
your money and get a Switch too?
No, I don't think I'll be doing that
Why?
because I want to be able to play like Steam games or Game Pass games on a handheld device.
You can play them on your fucking phone. Get Steam Link.
I guess I don't even know that exists, actually. I've done the Xbox version. I didn't know there was a Steam Link thing for iOS.
But yeah, oh yeah.
Interesting.
It's an
Maybe I will.
option.
It's not great, but anyway, let's get into the developer underscore direct 25. 4 games, 4 developers, plus a little bonus game brought to you from your friends at Microsoft. And the first development team we check in with is Team Ninja. And they are showcasing Ninja Gaiden 4. A big year for Ninja Gaiden. Spoiler, they dropped Ninja Gaiden 2 Black during the developer direct on all consoles. And I got to be honest, that game looked pretty sweet. There was a huge boss and some other stuff going on there. I was like, I kind of want to play this game, but don't have time right now. And then to me, the biggest piece of information was Platinum Games teaming up with them to work on Ninja Gaiden 4. Gaiden, what are we saying here?
I was going to ask. I think it's Gaiden. You
I think
never
it's
take
Gaiden
my
as well.
word for it.
Okay. Ninja Gaiden 4. What did you guys think of what you saw of this upcoming game, which we had never heard of before, right? This is an unknown game up until this developer underscore direct.
I believe so. Yes. I personally thought it was very fast, very stylish. Gave me lots of Vanquish vibes. And I mean, obviously coming from Platinum makes sense.
Gave me
But-
some Rising Revengeance vibes.
Yeah, that too. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, same, didn't Platinum do that also?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so then but like it reminded me a lot of I never really got into the Ninja Gaiden Sigma. I think it was Sigma. The games that were on Xbox that were really fast paced as well, but I remember watching like a few roommates play them and always thinking like there's way too much going on here for me, and that's kind of the vibe I got with this one where there's so many fast like camera pull-ins and pull-outs and swap arounds to give you the super cinematic angle. I almost got nauseous just watching it. Like I don't know how even people track what's going on in this game. So I think it's just I'm just too old for this style of game, and I thought it looked really good, but I don't think I'll be
How are you
playing
watching
this one.
What were you watching on 2x speed? Because then it will seem really fast.
Well, I was what, like 1.5. Gotta watch it 1.5. I think maybe 2. Could have been 2, but it
And were
did
you
look really
watching
fast.
on a phone, a TV.
So watch it on my computer, full screen.
Yeah, like you might want to watch on a nice, comfortable
Steam Deck.
phone screen in a spot where you'd like to be comfortable to really
Yes.
appreciate these videos.
That must have been my mistake. Yeah.
What?
Right, Sean?
I watched on my TV. The
Oh,
only way to watch the developer direct.
games on a tiny screen, and you watch announcement streams on a television.
Yeah, because I only have one room in the house that has a PlayStation 5, so it's
Look,
not
both of
always
you
available.
need to take your fucking houses back.
No way.
Maybe.
We know who the boss
Maybe.
is. Come on, Frank.
Yeah, holy shit, dude. Get yourself a nice dedicated room with a TV where you can play the fucking games you want to play when you want to play them. Bill from Microsoft would want it that way.
No, he wants you to play anywhere at any time, which I am a fan of.
That's a bit of a stretch. I think that's the way it should be. You play where you want, when you want, on any TV you want, but apparently that's not allowed. So, any other thoughts, Sean, on Ninja Gaiden 4, a game that is surely too difficult for you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of with Huck that something about these games. I mean, there is the difficulty factor, but they are just a little too fast paced for my personal preference. But like, I'll definitely try it. It's going to be on Game Pass, so I'll give it a shot. I'm more excited for the 2D Ninja Gaiden game that's coming out. But yeah, I mean, it's a big announcement for sure. Like, it's exciting, and I mean, I know Frank was saying, well, you said this before the show, but that most of these games are multi-platform games, not exclusive to Xbox. But
Very interesting.
But I mean, if you just look at Game Pass and how we've been saying for the last couple of years, Game Pass has not been delivering on the promise of great games. They've got a pretty solid 5 months to start the year here. So
Yeah, it did feel like this is our way to convince people to keep their subscription until May. And it might work. Although this game is scheduled for release in fall of 2025. My guess it will be early 2026 when all is said and done. Ultimately, I thought it looked really good. I was surprised to see platforming to a higher degree than previous Ninja Gaiden games from what I remember, like some grinding sections, wall running, air dashes, reminding me a bit of Star Wars, Jedi Survivor. And I love that addition. I always like some good platforming. And this one set the stage for the rest of this developer direct, which was, I'm done with developer directs. I do not want developers talking about their own games. They're boring. They read off teleprompters. They suck. They basically describe how to play video games to you when we get to South of Midnight. Oh, right now I'm going in for an attack. Then I'm pulling it. Yeah, we know how to play video games. Tell us something unique about your systems or games. I don't need a refresh on how to play the thing I play day and night every day, where I want, sitting on a couch in my own house. Please just get to the important details. This thing was stretched out into oblivion, and I was kind of getting sick of it by the end. But I will say, all 4 games looked really good. So you'll be getting a high grade from me at the end of this. But I will say, I felt like I was seeing the same thing over and over again in the Ninja Gaiden portion. I'm like, okay, time to move on.
Yeah.
We got a little tidbit. Ninja Gaiden 2 Black, which again looked really good. I think it was 3 I played a bunch of on Xbox 360 and liked it quite a bit. So this series is one of the ones that's lauded as one of the best action games, especially Ninja Gaiden Black for the original Xbox. It was too hard for me when it came out, but now I'm like the best gamer ever, so I have to go back and try it. But
yeah, that game was a rude awakening when it hit. I mean, it feels like the stage is set for this series to kind of get its due, maybe.
Yeah, I feel like I was way too. This is just a memory. I'm not committing to anything here. I don't know if this is accurate, but like having to hit the little white and black buttons on the Xbox controller for something really drove me nuts. So it's time to go back. Who knows when that will be, but it'll look good. Okay, moving on. Compulsion Games, next up on the list, giving us an update on South of Midnight, a game which I believe was on Huck's most anticipated games of the year. So it is coming out this year, April 8th, to be exact. And Huck, why don't you tell us what you thought? You're the
sure. Well, I definitely have a bit of a soft spot for the studio. I used to work with the CEO, Guillaume. So I just full disclosure there, but I really liked the setting and the art style. But that being said, I am not sold on the Into the Spider-Verse animation style that they're going with. I think it's a huge mistake. It looks kind of broken to me. It doesn't look intentional, and I know it's intentional, but it doesn't look intentional. And I think they're just trying to like follow the fad of that movie, or I guess that series. And I think it's a mistake, to be honest. And I don't know. I hope they like add a feature where you can turn it back on to full frames and it be smooth as an option for people. I don't know. What did you guys think about the animation style? I think the gameplay looked fine. I liked some of like the tells of the enemies that were kind of like displaying their charge or their area of effect move and everything like that. And I don't know. I like all the like crazy creatures and the like the mythos of the South and everything like that. I thought it all looked pretty cool. And it reminded me a bit of when they kept talking about weaving. I kept thinking of like the Wheel of Time, whatever the magic people are in that series thing called. Anyone watch that show or read the books?
I mean, I know what they are. Haven't watched or read.
Oh no, dude. Okay.
You TV junkers don't know what it is? Come on.
We're on exactly the same page.
Okay, good.
From what I could tell, I think the stop motion stuff is only in cutscenes. Like
okay.
That's the vibe I was getting as well, yeah.
Because initially I saw Walk Cycle that kind of had it. The missing frame. I'm like, is this the whole game? And then I was looking very closely for that through the whole thing. And I think it's only cutscenes. When I was looking the combat, it didn't have it and stuff like that. And I completely agree. I think it looks intentional and looks bad. I think it's like a desperate attempt to establish an art style that is completely unnecessary. And I would guarantee there is an option to remove it from the game when it ships or in a patch shortly thereafter, or it's removed completely and the option is to turn it on, because it just feels like a procedural tech solution, like animate everything normally and then just pull out this frame and that frame, and it's brutal. It's gotta go.
It doesn't look like it has intention behind which frames are missing to me. It just looks like random frames are missing, which I don't think is what they're going for.
Well, I think it's just a certain amount. Like maybe there's some variance in whether
maybe. But that's what I mean. Like I think Into the Spider-Verse, they have like they cut out specific frames to give a certain feel, right? Like they'll like have a punch that hangs, and then it like quickly jerks to like some other motion or something like that, intentionally.
We're jerking here.
We're jerking. I mean, the Spider-Verse, I think, there was tech that was applied to do that, but I do think there's a lot more manual intervention in that movie and trying to tweak it. I'm a little more like I like the animation style with the art style. Like I think putting those two together, it kind of is interesting, but I think if I get the feeling now that they ran into some issues, particularly with combat, where maybe people were, I don't know what kind of, like if people were getting nausea or motion sickness or something, maybe from these frame drops. But like, I just have this feeling that combat, they were like, okay, it's not working here, but this is our style we've established now. So I think it's like, I couldn't really tell, but it seemed like a lot of the footage was cutting between both. And yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just gameplay versus cutscenes, but if that's what it is, it still feels weird. Like, got to do one or the other, I think.
That's my guess. And like, I would kind of understand it. They kept saying claymation, a claymation aesthetic. I don't even think the models look like claymation. It's like two things that do not vibe together.
It's like cell shading, just like traditional cell shading to me. That's what it looks like.
Yeah, just like, as I said, it feels like a desperate attempt to establish an art style that, frankly, the game looks good enough on its own anyway. I don't think it needs this
agreed
animation gimmick to stand out. I thought all the gameplay looked really good. I'm still excited for the game. When it got to the final portion and explaining how every area of the game has like an overriding mythic creature, which is like the alligators and other bayou type animals in these kind of gigantic mythic forms, I was getting really excited. And those gameplay sections, we'd already seen that stuff before, but it looked really good. So it sucks that I mean, I didn't follow up on this stuff. I just watched it today. My guess would be the talking point for that game is the annoying stutter stuff and I'm guessing they're having serious internal conversations about how to deal with that stuff.
Yeah.
But overall, still looks great. Excited to play it in April. This is unless I'm missing something, the only exclusive game from this developer _ direct.
Yes, correct. It is from this developer _ direct, the only exclusive.
All right. Anything else to say on South of Midnight?
No, I'm looking forward to it.
This one felt the longest to me out of all four. And as I was saying at the top of the show, just kind of explaining video games to me, which I wasn't getting a lot of insight.
I mean, I am with you. Like, I kind of like with indie games when you get sort of the developer breaking it down for you, and they just seem to have a little more personality usually. But yeah, these Microsoft ones, it was just a lot of like fluff, really.
Or an indie game is explaining an unconventional mechanic or idea that might not be obvious looking at screenshots or footage. These are pretty typical action games. I don't need unless there's like a crazy new system, which would have sufficed like 30 seconds on that system. This was like 10 minutes on each of these games. I'm like, okay, moving on. I'm already asleep. Next up, Sandfall Interactive, a developer I wasn't really aware of until this, were creating a game that was on two of our most anticipated lists for the year, Claire Obscure Expedition 33. And I didn't know anything about these developers. They started their video by, I think the CEO or the lead saying he wanted to create a traditional turn-based JRPG with like modern day aesthetics and quality of life. And I think that's how I described it based on the last like Xbox stream. I'm like, this game looks like they're going for a classic RPG, just modernized. And it all made sense. And I think the game looks great. I will say, after watching this video, I'm a little less excited than I was. Specifically, the art style. It's got that Unreal Engine. Every area kind of looks desaturated and repetitive. It's just like this area I added red. It was based in red and white. Okay, great. It still kind of looks like the other area. Just switch some highlights and lighting from red and white to green. They all have like the same models and underlying aesthetic that really carries through whatever small changes are made. So I thought it lost something in terms of visual diversity for an entire game, which isn't like the end of the world, especially coming from a newer developer. and probably a smaller team. So I'm not writing the game off by any means, but visually I was less impressed. And then there was one time, like when you get into more detail in this game, you literally get into more detail, which is to say, when we saw the first videos, it had a take on the persona and metaphor, like icons and flashy turn-based mechanics. And in this video, you click on one of those and you bring up a small dialogue window that is just imbued with text. There's text everywhere. And like, isn't this in direct contrast to the aesthetics we established previously? And then finally, towards the end, it got into this luminous system for customizing things. And it was literally a wall of text of like 100 things that all looked like the same thing. And I'm like, what am I picking between here? Doesn't feel like it's a traditional RPG. It feels like a sim game at some point. So still excited for the game, but definitely was starting to feel the more AA vibes. Outside of the initial video in this presentation.
I know, like, after watching this, I still can't believe I forgot about this for my top 10. Probably should have been in there.
Was it on your list?
No, it's not. I think it's on your and Dwight's. I think it has, like, I think it still has great character. And I thought, like, the overworld map, and I have kind of, like, high hopes for those, like, two kind of, like, awkward characters. I can't remember what they described them. One was like that like furry creature that could like change into things, and then you're basically your boat or your airship guy that kind of like flies you around the overworld map. So I mean, that's interesting. That's like a kind of a neat little twist. But at the same time, I'm almost more interested in like how these guys got funding and how they've been making this game for so long and how they got the game to look so good. I would be very interested to see like what their green light demo looked like, and like even sit in as a fly on the wall in their pitch to see how they got so much money to make this game. Because obviously they said they're a small team, but I imagine to them a small team is like 30 to 50 people. Because there's no way a team of like 10 could make this game even in 10 years, unless it's what you suspect, Frank, where it's basically just a bunch of corridors with palette swaps, and that's the whole game. And there's not much like crazy variety to it. But, it looks very polished. The battles are a lot of stuff going on, a lot of like visual flair. And, a lot of the cutscenes look very good. So I am I'm more interested in like the businessy aspects of this company and like how you could start a studio from nothing and then get enough money to make a game that looks this good is just like very interesting to me, that like how someone would be able to do that. Because it didn't sound like the lead guy had worked at a studio before this. At least he didn't describe it like that in this video. So, to go from basically I have an idea and I'm going to like, I know this programmer guy, so we're going to just, hack away for a little while and come up with some demo. And then all of a sudden, like, pitch it and have a huge team seems crazy to me. So like that sort of stuff I'm interested in hearing about. But I get the same vibe as you, Frank, that maybe it's a little more AA and they spend a lot of time on like probably certain cutscenes or the cutscenes in general. And the gameplay, like the in-between combat gameplay might be lower tier.
I will say I didn't think the cutscenes looked that good. They kind of feel like a little metahuman generic stuff to me, and the hair didn't look great, but I don't really care about hair. The overworld map, they're like, yes, we have an overworld map. I thought that looked awesome. And kind of a modern take on the Final Fantasy VII overworld map, which I was very excited for and thought it looked quite good. The art director, this is another example of like, do not get your developers to talk about the game. It's like, for the one character, one day I was like, what should this character be? And I thought it should be like this a hairy monkey with a mask on. So I made it. And then I thought this should be that. And I thought of it immediately. And I made it. Wow, you're amazing, dude. You just thought of things and made them. Tell us more about your divine artistic process. Holy shit. What are they doing? Is there no editing on these videos? Sean, go ahead. I'm in a bad mood.
Yeah, geez. Chill out, man. Yeah, I mean, I thought it looked pretty good. Like I was not like, it wasn't as much on my radar as it was for you guys, but I think this time around, it was the creatures and kind of costumes and like, I don't know, there's something about it. It doesn't feel like just a standard fantasy setting. It seems kind of imaginative and different, which kind of had me. No, you don't think so?
It's pretty generic. Other than
I thought it was a mix of
what Huck mentioned, those two characters, which, if I'm being honest, the game this reminded me of is Sea of Stars. How Sea of Stars had that Bzit character and other things that were like these weird, wacky things. And I don't know if that was more of a JRPG thing that I wasn't aware of in the past. And that's why they're all kind of going for those types of things. But those were the two areas that felt extremely unique to me. Everything else felt a little generic RPG to me.
I don't know. It seemed unique to me, and like the story, although it seems pretty weird, was kind of intriguing. That floating number in the sky felt like 3-body problem for some reason to me. I don't know if that was at all an influence.
I think there's some similar elements in metaphor, not numbers, but like there's this ethereal thing that shows up that you're constantly referencing. And don't get me wrong, I'm still really excited for this game, and I think a new team developing this is already kind of overshadowing what I expect from first-time developers, even if it is presenting as a AAA game when it might not be. So they're definitely doing something right, just not with whoever's creating and editing their videos for Developer Direct. Just get to the goods, baby. That shot of the Lumina's system with just text, that's got to go. Like, who's making a final pass on these videos? Send it to me. Send it to me, and I'll tell you what to get rid of in your video if you want people to be excited about your game.
Like, I think that's the thing with JRPG stuff. Like, some people are going to be excited about like tons of customization options, tons of systems. Like, I was feeling a bit overwhelmed by that stuff, but I think there's an audience that wants that kind of stuff. You know what I mean?
Okay. The message you get from that, I wish we could bring up this wall of text here. It is not that it's customizable. Like, you can assume an RPG will be customizable in some sense. The message is we don't have icons for things. It's just reading a lot of text. That is putting forth a message of lack of polish, which to me, this game is, their whole hook is extreme polish on a traditional JRPG. So at least, when I play Final Fantasy for NES, there's an icon of a sword beside a weapon icon. I don't even have that in this. I just get text. So believe me, just send it to me. Anyone out there, if you're a game developer and you're about to make a video out to the public, just let me take a quick pass. I'll tell you, you might not want to put this out there. This is not rocket science. Moving on. The final one, and by far the best one, as far as I'm concerned, might have been the shortest or felt the shortest, that's for sure, was, I don't even know the name of this game.
Doom, the Dark
Ages.
I didn't write it down. I'm like, that's not a good sign. Anyway, I thought the game looked incredible. Like, Sean, you're the biggest Doom head here. I've been borrowing your Doom book for 2 years. I still have only made it halfway through.
I think Huck's a bigger Doom head, but I am really looking forward to this. Like, I don't know. It's one of those things. There's been a lot of boomer shooters the last few years, and you kind of think, well, like, the problem with those, they always start to feel repetitive after a while, I think. But the other two Doom games, Doom and Doom Eternal.
Can I pause you, Sean? Sorry.
Yeah.
Let's just take a quick panel here. How many people here have beaten a boomer shooter?
Nope.
I've played a lot or tried a lot. I've
Yeah.
never finished one in my life.
Yeah,
Yeah,
same.
that's a good question. I don't
I mean,
think so.
unless we're like if we're counting Doom and Wolfenstein,
No,
then
I
yes.
finished those. I played Doom a couple of years ago and I played it to the end. I'm like, this game rocks. So
Yes,
uh,
same.
I like the big ones like Bolt Gun, Proteus, some other ones. I've started all of them. Never felt compelled to play 3 levels. Let's go backwards. How many people have played 1 level of a boomer shooter? Raise your hand.
Yes, I have.
Sean, raise
For
your
sure.
hand, please. Hurry up. All right. That was the easy one. How many people have played 2 levels of a boomer shooter?
I probably
Raise your
have.
hand. Okay,
I
me
think
too.
so.
How many people have played 3 levels? Raise your hand. No one raised their
Maybe.
hand.
I don't remember. I played it like
If you don't
No,
remember, it
maybe.
didn't happen in the world of video games.
I played 4 or 5 hours of Proteus, so I don't know what that was. Probably maybe
For
3
you,
or 4.
probably level 1. But Sean's really taking a beat in this episode. I'm sorry, Sean. But I thought this out of all the presentations. Sorry, I put you on pause. So continue, Doom: The Dark Ages. Sean.
Well, I was just going to say I didn't finish Doom or Doom Eternal either, but both of those games were evolutions of that style of game. They added more exploration and stuff like that. I do actually want to go back and maybe try to beat at least one of them before this comes out. But this was, again, it did feel like an evolution. There was, just interesting new mechanics being introduced, and like we were talking about Ninja Gaiden feeling a little too fast paced, maybe a little too hectic. This is that, but I don't know. I was into it. So,
Sean, you must have been loving the sliders to bring the speed and difficulty down.
yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I don't know how much I would use that, but that's what.
Why wouldn't you? You said it's too fast, and
Well, I want the default. Like as soon as I start having to tweak settings in a game, I'm like, I don't know, this isn't really the way it was intended to be played. So
only you took that approach with your hardware.
yeah, maybe.
Huck, what did you think?
Yeah, I actually liked the. I know you were complaining about the developer walkthrough thing, but I thought actually the walkthrough of this game of the combat was really good.
Theirs was the
And-
best by far.
Yeah, and just how I thought the pacing of the presentation was great, and how they went from introducing the new the new shield thing, then introducing the new melee weapons, then introducing the guns worked perfectly, and it really helped explain sort of like the differences between Doom Eternal, and this game, and why they're different, why it's not just the same game over and over again, which is cool. I thought it looked a little almost like cartoony, some of the enemies. I don't know why I got that vibe exactly. Like, I think it was some of the older kind of like throwback enemies, but I don't think that's a bad thing. And then they showed the like giant mech and like the flying suit or whatever the heck that dragony looking thing was. And I was like, this seems just like they're going out there and just doing whatever the hell they want. Like,
Which I
just seems-
love. Did
Yeah.
anyone else get the same vibes when they saw that stuff? Did they think of another game when they saw the Titan suit and the flying dragon stuff? There's one game I'm thinking of. The first game ever reviewed on Game Junk. I think maybe one of the first.
Limbo?
Halo Reach. I guess Limbo was the
Halo
first.
Reach?
Halo Reach. Like, it's the variety they're adding. It gave me like, this is going to be a definitive first person shooter campaign. And I thought it looked incredible. I am so hyped for this game. I've said many times I want to go back and play Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal, and I'm going to say it again and not do it. But I thought just the aesthetic of the Dark Ages was fantastic. I don't know how much visual effects and polish there was in Doom Eternal, but when there's tracers and showing like where bullets are hitting in an accuracy kind of circle around enemies, and it felt like a game. It wasn't like I was watching a cutscene, and especially when they said, here's just some sample gameplay, because the other stuff felt like, is this really what it plays like? And then you saw someone play and it's like, it's a little slower. It felt like a real person playing a game, and it felt manageable. So
Yeah.
I was super impressed. The shield looks awesome. And I really I agree with what Huck said. the other three developers need to take note about what it did in their video, except for reading off of cue cards for one line and their eyes moving back and forth. Please send your video to me. You can't memorize one sentence and look at the camera.
I think 1 second while you're talking about the combat still, they mentioned how the controls are all like context sensitive and it's just like one button press. I love that. I love the fact that I'm going to have, a button for block, a button for shoot, and a button for swing my melee weapon. And like those are the only three buttons I really need to probably worry about. Maybe aim or whatever, and maybe like throw some, I don't know, something else like a grenade, whatever their version of grenades are. But that simplicity, I think is going to be really awesome.
Yeah, and I like how they led up to the final and most important button, the trigger. And then, even though they didn't get into that much specific about it, I just thought it was a nice flow. It had a really well-developed plan for how to present the ideas of the game, and it sold itself really well. So definitely regretting not putting this on my most anticipated games of the year. Like visually incredible. And I'm super hyped for this game. It looks awesome.
Yeah. And it's coming out in May, which I thought it was going to be like a September kind of release or something.
I find it at a high level, like it's interesting how they have like 3 games all hitting within a month or almost a month, 5 weeks. And then they also put in Ninja Gaiden 4, which I guess was their big kind of like new reveal of like the new and shiny thing off to the side. But I'm surprised that the games are so jammed together, because like from now until April, is there anything big we know of coming out on Game Pass? And then from mid-May onward, has anything been announced? Or
things?
Was that?
These be the big announcements?
No, I mean, yeah. So now we have this like 1 month time frame of 3 awesome games dropping on Game Pass.
4 months.
4 months. April 8th to May 15th. That's 1 month. That's 5 weeks.
Right. Okay. I see what you're saying. Okay.
But I mean, there's Avowed in February.
Okay.
I think there's something else in March, I think.
Okay.
But yeah, it just feels like, I mean, nothing has really been announced past the summer for anyone at this point. So.
Yeah. I'm just, from like a marketing standpoint, it's interesting that they've chosen to sort of have this big drop of release dates 3 months out, or 3 to 4 months out from where they come out. And I wonder if that's like the sweet spot now, or at least what people think are the sweet spot for kind of giving their final kind of like push of marketing is like a 3-month window beforehand. And like, what about the stuff that's coming out? Like, what about Avowed? Why wasn't Avowed in this? Why wasn't whatever the other thing you're thinking of that's coming out in March in this?
I think
it's kind of strange.
Developer directs, like there's, especially in IDs, there was quite a bit of polish. They probably need like 2 months notice. Avowed got delayed from November, so I don't think they would have picked theirs. I think they might have been in the previous developer direct.
Yeah, I think they were.
So it's like they probably have to plan for this. And then my guess is they drop it now because it's like, well, people might be thinking about canceling their Game Pass. So they're like, there's good stuff coming in a few months. And rather than canceling and resubscribing, they just keep it subscribed. And then by the time Doom launches, we'll be getting our next one about possibly Gears or another game coming in the fall. And it's just like, try to keep people locked in to the Game Pass as long as they can, to keep that cash flow going.
I would assume that the goal would be to have like at least one big game every month, maybe every couple of weeks, if they could do that. But like the last couple of years, they've been struggling to have like 3 big games in a year. So I don't know if it's just finally all the stuff that they've been working on is starting to pay off and the timing's lining up or what. But yeah, I do wonder what's coming out the rest of the year.
I mean, it's a pretty good start. The only thing I'll say is they are all on PlayStation except for
South of Midnight.
South of Midnight, which probably was still looked great, but the least impressive of the four to me. So, I mean, it's not bad for them necessarily in terms of making money. I'm going to buy all these games and play them on PlayStation, which might actually net them more money than me being on Game Pass. So, I mean, whatevs, but it's, I was pleasantly surprised. Let's give this thing a star rating and put it to bed.
I'll give it a B plus.
I'm also giving it a B plus.
I'll join you guys. I think it was a B plus presentation.
I thought you were going A. You were hyped up.
Yeah, I was hyped up. I thought they did a pretty good job, but I do agree that it was a little slow and like a little too much talky talk for, a 50-minute, 40-minute presentation of only 4 games. So
Day of the Devs really hits a nice sweet spot with each video when they do the developer stuff. So
yeah,
something to aspire to. Okay. I think that's it for the developer direct.
Oh, Atom Fall was the other game I was thinking of that's coming in March.
Oh, okay.
Correct. I forgot about that game. See how it shapes up. I'm kind of hyped to try out Avowed, though. I thought it looked decent. All right. What we played. Sean.
Well, I got
Have you been able to play anything without your Steam Deck? Is it possible to play games?
Before I started having these issues, I did play a little bit of Hyper Light Breaker.
Not hearing good things.
Yeah, I've been hearing not great things. But so that, like, if you don't know the premise, like, so Hyper Light Drifter was obviously more of like a Zelda-like, I guess I would say. This is taking that world but turning it into like a third-person action adventure roguelike. So it's kind of like, I guess maybe like Risk of Rain to Risk of Rain 2 kind of transition, sort of. But I mean, I didn't play that much. I think the big criticism I've been seeing, well, 2 big criticisms I've been seeing of it's in early access, should mention, so it's not a full release, which I think is a big part of it. But a lot of people saying that the difficulty's too high, which, I mean, I certainly was getting swarmed by enemies like almost immediately, which was kind of annoying and frustrating. I was still trying to figure out controls and what's going on. And so, yeah, I could see that. But it also does not explain a lot to you. Basically, you kind of go out into this, I forget what they call it, but sort of like a wilderness where you're fighting monsters, and basically you're trying to beat bosses and get resources and bring them back to your hub world, which you can then use to like open up shops and things like that. But I just, there's things on a map, but I was not entirely clear what I'm doing. But that being said, I thought the way they captured the world of Hyper Light Drifter in like a 3D space, and like with the visuals and the sound, I thought that stuff was really good. So I kind of like that. But
yeah, the videos and clips I've seen look good. I'm not really into early access these days, so I'll be holding off, but I love Solar Ash. So I'm getting some Solar Ash vibes from the same developers, and I'm hoping I'm sure they sort a lot of these issues out by the time it goes full blown.
I mean, that's the thing. Like, what do people expect from early access, right? Like, it's tough because.
Well, and then you get something like Hades 2, which is not that early access. Like, any problem they've had with the progression systems and ideas have already been worked out in Hades. Like, it's just like the new mechanics that they're experimenting with in Hades 2 in early access. So it's almost not even fair to call that game early access. This is a legit early access. Like, they're figuring out something new with this game.
Yeah. But I think that's what you're saying is part of the problem, is like, you can buy something that's early access, but you're going to get a wide variety of polish level and content quantity, I guess, from game to game. Nobody really knows what to expect. So it's a bit of a crapshoot.
Okay. We'll see if the game improves, if Sean plays it. I'm guessing probably not until it's full access again.
Probably not, but I mean, I liked it more than I thought I would. So, yeah.
Okay.
So what drove you to buy it in early access?
Well, I managed to get a code for this one. Believe
What
it or not.
the fuck?
This guy's hacking.
You gotta get full disclosure. You were given a code.
Yeah. So, I mean, that was a factor for sure. But I think they actually have a bundle right now where you get this game and Hyperlight Drifter. So if you don't own Hyperlight Drifter, that might be worth picking up.
Look at this guy doing sales for the company. I'll never take a code. And I'm criticizing.
Got the payola right there.
Yeah, this guy's gone full payola mode. Try and get Rogue to send him an ally for free. What a hero.
If you're any Rogue employees out there, let me know.
Just know Sean's going to try and jailbreak your console and fucking ruin it and then say it's your fault. You playing anything?
You talking to me? You talking to me?
Yeah.
Just Rebirth, more Rebirth. I'm like 1/3 of the way through the game now. Chapter 7. Definitely, I'm at the part in Final Fantasy VII Original with the train tracks. I don't know if people remember the train tracks heading over to kind of the Gold Saucer area. So definitely captured that sort of like vibe in 3D space. So it's cool. This game is great. It's absolutely great, but it's just very long.
I don't remember train tracks at all. Do you mean like the arrow car? Like you take
It's before Gold Saucer, but it's like heading like in Corral. You have to like, it's like, I don't know.
Okay. All right.
It's kind of a shitty section of the game, to be honest, but
Fair enough.
I remember it. But it's, they do, I don't know if I talked about this, but they force character swap you in this game. So in the first game, I think you played as Cloud exclusively.
No.
No?
No.
Okay.
And you did mention this last week. You said like it was a refreshing change up.
Oh, right. Yeah. So
the first one as well.
They've done it a few more times where you have to play as like different characters, and it is a nice just change of pace. And there's not too much different in the gameplay styles, but it does force you to try more characters than maybe you would naturally just try them.
Yeah, they don't do it much in the first one. There's like a section in the building where Barrett splits up and you shoot boxes.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Like a small portion.
Yep.
I played 9 Souls, which
I saw you were playing that.
Our buddy Graham from Drinkbox sent me a personal email and said, you got to try 9 Souls. He was loving it. And so I did. And I'm also loving it. It's amazing. It's such a good game. I'm playing it simultaneously, PS4 and PS5 version. I do each area and then I do it on the other one and then I go back and forth.
Oh my gosh.
What's the deal, dude? I love games. I just want to play it more. And
you're ridiculous.
The combat is so good. It's like Sekiro, but a little more forgiving. It's a Metroid-like. I was thinking about Metroidvania today too, the term. Because I was also played Crypt Custodian and it said in its description Metroidvania. And I'm wondering, there's no dash. Metroidvania is presented as one word. Do you think that's around like getting around copyright? Like if you said Metroid like, that like Metroid dash like feels like it's something Nintendo owns. But if you say Metroidvania, probably. It's like in another realm. Is this whole world exist to get around lawsuits from Nintendo? Is that the reason people perpetuate this lie of a term?
Is that why
I don't
everyone
and to get out of litigation?
I don't think so, but it's an interesting question. Like the whole term came about at the time, I believe, when Castlevania had those DS games coming out, and they were kind of like keeping this style of game alive when Nintendo wasn't making Metroid stuff. So I thought feel it was like Symphony of the Night.
Of course, it was Symphony of the Night. What is this guy weighing in on?
No, I mean,
he's getting DS payola. That's what's going on.
Those DS games were a continuation of what Symphony of the Night established.
I know, but I'm just saying that was the era when Nintendo was not making Metroids. So I think that's why those two terms got put together, because people are like, hey, Metroid and Castlevania, they are like side by side doing this type of thing. And now Castlevania's kind of been forgotten, but Metroid's still going. So it seems less, doesn't seem as balanced, I don't think.
For anyone listening to the show, you need to go to youtube.com/game junk and watch this portion when I was berating Sean for not knowing it's Symphony Night, and he made like an eye roll face, like, and he was getting angry. And, I mean, that's the face I make during every Film Junk review, and I'm getting shit on constantly for things like flow. And but the point stands. Sean, he's doing a little retroactive. Of course, I knew that, but you need to go to the videotape to check out some of this stuff, because he thought he was pretty chuffed when he dropped the Game Boy Advance DS stuff. So anyway, whatever, we're beyond it, we're done. It was just an observation. And Nine Souls, I think it's better than Hollow Knight, straight up. If you're a Hollow Knight fan, I think the combat's better, the exploration is better. Where Hollow Knight, the platforming seems to be an exercise in frustration for the most part, and especially some vertical areas. And when I play Hollow Knight, I found myself constantly like going to places on the map to find out, oh, I can't do anything there yet. I'm like, oh, I guess. And I just kept doing it. I thought maybe I can go do something here now. Nope. And just kept going in circles. This game, like, you're never really confused and frustrated with making progress. It's a little less explory, I will admit that, but it makes up for that with like extremely tight gameplay, clearly influenced by Sekiro. They have their version of the Mikiri counter, which isn't quite as good. It's like a jumping, like parry system for certain unblockable attacks. It's good, but not great. But overall, just so much fun. I've done 2 mini bosses. They've all been really interesting, difficult, but not like the second boss. I'm like, I'm going to hate this boss. And then I beat it like 2 turns later. So it's really good, and very tight controls, feels great. If it's not on your radar, feels strange that this game is not getting any love. Feels like a harder version with a little less polish of Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, including like projectiles and other elements that are mapped to the same buttons. Getting heavy vibes with that game. Only a little more, no, it's about the same amount of combat focus, just a little more difficult. So you got to check it out. If you are into Metroid likes, and especially if you're into Sekiro, Nine Souls needs to be on your list immediately.
It's also on Game Pass. I think console only, though.
Okay, interesting. I think I was aware of that. Sean played it on Game Pass, right?
Yeah, that's where I tried it. I mean, I feel like I have heard a lot of people, like, I feel like it's getting, well, I was going to say maybe more praise than Prince of Persia. I don't know if that's totally true.
I haven't seen it on any best of the year lists from major publications.
Huh.
It just came out, though, didn't it?
No, I think it came out in like the summer, maybe, but it was on Game Pass in November, December.
November 26th, it says came out.
May on Steam.
May on Steam. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was looking at the Xbox.
No, I don't know what's going on there. Weird. Feels very weird to me. There's no reason for this game to be not discussed more.
Well, especially with the Hollow Knight comparison. Like, I just feel like anyone who's into it would see the art style and kind of immediately be like, oh, this seems like something I should try. So
with way better combat, like way better.
Yeah, I mean, I found it a little difficult, and maybe more difficult than Hollow Knight, but I don't know. Didn't play that much.
Yeah, if you've played Sekiro, it's I don't think it's as hard as Sekiro by any means, but you're kind of used to that type of combat to some degree. All right, Sean, anything else for you?
Yeah, I'll just mention a little puzzle game I've been playing. It's called Lok Digital, LOK Digital. This came out on Steam late last year, and now it's out on mobile. it's kind of hard to explain. I guess it used to be the person who created this, it was like a book, like puzzle in book form, and now they've just made the digital version of it. I have no idea how it would work as a book, to be honest with you, because there's a lot of rules and stuff that like you would have to self know that stuff. But basically it's kind of like a board of letters, kind of like almost looking like a crossword puzzle or something, but you have to highlight certain letters to spell certain words, and those words give you abilities to remove other squares, and you're just trying to basically remove all the squares from the board. And it's kind of simple, but then gets pretty difficult fast, and but still manageable. I don't know. I'm kind of digging it.
Looks pretty cool.
Yeah, it's got a kind of a cool art style too.
Sean, you are always finding these little niche games. How do you do it?
I don't know, man. Just gotta scour the internet.
Reddit.
Be a hacker.
Okay. How
He
do
just
you
goes to
scour
Reddit.
the internet? Like, what are your sources?
I don't know. Like a lot of times I go to like Metacritic and I just kind of look at like upcoming games. And if I see something that's got like an 80 or higher, I'll just find stuff that people aren't really talking about, but that is getting good reviews.
I do that. I go to upcoming games in Metacritic and none of them have scores. What do you mean upcoming games that already have scores?
Yeah, they'll have like 3 or 4 reviews. Like they just kind of got in there, and yeah, I don't know, but
you're doing the deep digging, and I got to give you credit. Or maybe you're getting codes again and not telling me.
I am not getting very many codes, but if you want to send some, let me know.
He's hacking the Matrix, man. He's seeing the future.
Okay, you're done, right, Huck?
Actually, I thought of one other thing I tried. PlayStation Plus got Anno Mutationem game that came to I don't know whatever level it is. I don't remember. And it is sort of like this. I really like the art style of the game. It is side-scrolling. Well, not really side-scrolling because there is depth to it. So it's kind of like a 2.5D, I guess, adventure game. But I got stuck like right at the beginning, and it's you kind of get this quest to like go fetch something, and all the routes seem to be blocked, and no one is telling me what I need to do to get around it. I thought there was like there's a sewer grate, and you talk to the guy. There's like some guy in a sewer, so I thought, okay, I'll have to like get him the thing, and then I'll go through the sewer and get around. And then I got him the thing, and he's just like, yeah, thanks. And then like, that's it. Then you can't do anything about it. So I have no idea how to get over to the area I need to go. And I'm too frustrated to look up like a walkthrough about it. So like this kind of game where it's like an indie game, and it seems like something that could be so easily solved with just like, 30 minutes of playtesting. Because I'm sure I'm not the only one who would have got kind of confused at this section, and it seems like such a solvable problem. So I don't want to reward the game developer by trying to find the answer online and then go keep playing. So I'm stopping playing it. But I do really like the art style. Maybe I'm just dumb and didn't see whatever clue I was supposed to see. But either way, I feel like it's a failing of the game developer that I have no idea where to go. And the area is not very big. So, and normally you would gate the player into a small area, but then there'd only be a finite number of things you can do. So you'd eventually find out where to go, but I cannot. So, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this game. It's kind of bizarre. So frustrating.
It's weird. I'm looking at the art and I'm like, I think I played a little bit of this game, but I don't remember when. So it did not stick with me for whatever reason.
On Steam in 2022, but I'd forgotten about it, and the art style is cool, no doubt.
Yeah. Maybe while Frank is telling his next thing, I'll watch a walkthrough of how the heck to get past this part and then report back of how stupid I am.
I played Crypt Custodian, not a lot, but got into it a bit today and was liking it. I love the idea of it being a Metroid-like, but not your typical side scroller, top down. And I really like the map. and almost being like one-to-one representation of the game space you're on, and very like intuitive. So I'm not even close to being far enough, but so far like the story's kind of playfully written with some humor, and I like that, and everything feels good. So always very impressed by this developer. I know it's Kyle Thompson. It is, I don't know if that's the actual. Let me look it up.
Yeah, it is. I don't think he has a company name.
Developer Kyle Thompson. Yeah. So, I art style wise, it's fine. I think I liked Islets a bit more, but it's pretty good. I got to give it some more time. Just scratching the surface, but I will return. I'm making harsh cuts right now for the end of the year list, and this one is not cut yet. Indiana Jones, you're cut. Sorry.
I can report back. I am stupid. There was like a shop I was in, and apparently there's like some button I have to press in there. But the weird thing is, on the map, it didn't show like that shop was where I had to go. Like on the overworld map, it looked like it was behind it. So I blame the map now.
Here you go. No, it's the map's fault.
Yep. Definitely not mine. Also, this walkthrough is 10 minutes in, so that's how far it took me to get stuck.
Sean, anything for you?
No, that's it.
Okay, that's going to do it for this week's show. Leave us a comment. Look at Sean's eye roll and see how condescending it was. And you can find us at youtube.com/GameJunk. And you can find Sean. Where are you at these days? You guys say where you're at. I don't give a shit anymore. Sean's on so much shit, I can't even follow it.
I'm on Film Junk, on social media everywhere, Film Junk. And there's Game Junk Podcast you can follow as well.
Huck, anything for you?
No.
Okay.
Good.
That's going to do it. Thank you for watching and or listening. And we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.